Hey guys, this is Miss Hong. Hopefully you're doing well. Yes, we finally have audio. I am so sorry about the other day where we didn't have audio, but kudos to those of you that were still able to do the homework. You guys managed to figure out what I was talking about and you followed along well. So great job on that. High five on that. Before I go over the homework, I just want to remind you guys to use your notebook, okay? So for tonight's homework, which page do you think you'll need? Page 12 or page 13? It's definitely going to be page 13. So why don't you go ahead and have it open, at least refer to it, get comfortable, maybe even read this sentence like 3 times. The measure of a triangle's exterior angle is equal to the sum of the related remote interior angles. Okay, so maybe read that a few times and just keep it open next to you and just refer to it and remember like what all this means, especially this part. You don't want to confuse this relationship with this relationship. Okay, this is for interior angles only, and this is for exterior angles, and you need to know when to use which one. Okay, so if you can, just keep it open, all right, and refer to it as you're doing your homework. So I'm going to go over the homework tonight. This is the same worksheet we had the other night, the exterior angle theorem. All right, you can see I went over that in a video, so you can refer to that video for that homework if you need to. And then now I'm going to do numbers 10, 11, 12, and 14. And shout out to Xavier Gomez because he said that I need to make the problems closer to the camera so it's easier to see everything. Thank you so much for that feedback. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, so if you take a look here, as soon as you see that we've got exterior angles going on, I would not use the interior, the triangle sum theorem. This is where I would stay, right here. Okay, so always identify where is your exterior angle. And then know that it's beside an interior angle, which you don't want to use for this theorem. You're just going to use the remote interior angles. Now there are other ways to use this, but for now let's just keep it pretty simple, okay? Alright, so here we go. Right here, what I see, and again I'll get closer. Let me let it focus. Okay, so what I would suggest is, hey, you notice an exterior angle, so if they're asking you to solve for x, then I'm going to be like, well, I'm going to set up an equation. Well, what's that equation relationship? It's going to be blank plus blank equals blank. If you want, I'm just going to write it up here so that it's not maybe in the way of the work that we're doing. So remote interior angle plus remote interior angle equals the exterior angle. Okay, so now these are your remote interior angles. Angle T, which is shown by the expression 5x plus 10, and then angle S is the other remote interior angle, which is shown by the value 58 degrees. I'm going to try to let this focus again. It looks a little unfocused. Let's try. Okay, I think that helped a little bit. Okay, so, and then this right here is the exterior angle, which refers to this angle right out here. Okay, it's this angle that is represented by 11x plus 2. So that, all of that needs to go right here. Okay, and then you have 5x plus 10 and then plus 58. Now if having these blanks confuses you, then go back and erase them. Okay, we just put it there so that you guys could remember what the relationship was for exterior angle theorem. And then since we have this equals, we can use our skill strategy of solving multi-step equations and solve for x. So we're going to draw our line, write down the equal sign, and then I would strongly suggest you box and circle. Okay. All right. And then if you see more than 2 terms on one side, that probably means you can combine something. There are like terms somewhere here, because usually you're not going to have 3 unlike terms until you get more advanced. So I see these are like terms, so you would add when you're combining like terms. So 10 plus 58. Now, if you're adding negatives, you could still add the negative, okay? So if you still have trouble understanding that concept, definitely ask that question in class. So I'm going to rewrite 5x. Add these, 68. nothing happening here, so I rewrite. Sorry about that, guys.
Miss Hastings, please come to the front office. Your meeting is waiting. Miss Hastings, please come to the front office.
Okay, so I have a variable on both sides, so I'm going to subtract or add the smaller variable. Since it's already positive, I'm going to subtract to get rid of it. Whatever I do on one side, I do to the other side, and I make sure it's lined up with the other x term. And you should have an x here and an x here, okay? Okay, so these eliminate, becoming 0. 68 equals 11x minus 5x is 6x plus 2. Okay, you're going to box and circle. And then minus 2 on this side to get it over here. Inverse operation. And so then you add these, okay? 68 plus a negative 2. But since it is different signs, you can also just subtract a 2. Just don't do a double negative. You'll see, you can play around with your calculator to understand. But 68 should subtract 2, and you get 66 equals 6x. Okay, then you divide each side by 6, divide each side by 6, and you get x equals 11. Now, did I actually answer the question? So let me flip back to the front. And it said solve for x. That means find the value of x that will make this true. The value of x is 11. So if I put 11 here and here, then this angle plus this angle will end up adding up to be the outer angle. If you want to do that, if you want to check that and show that mathematically to me, I will show you a GoFar. I will give you a GoFar buck for doing that extra check. Meaning, you show me that you plugged in the 11, okay, and then what that came out to be, you plugged in the 11, and then show me that this angle plus this angle does add up to be that one. If you do that tonight and bring it to me tomorrow, you have won a GoFar buck. Now let's go to number 11. Oh, let me also say this. If you just did that with me, I would strongly suggest that you pause the video now and you do these on your own. Try number 11 on your own. If you get stuck, then maybe you can play the video and then pause it again. Don't be too dependent on me, okay? Or, here's another suggestion. If you need to go through the video with me every single problem, that's fine. But then I would suggest go back, recopy the problem on a separate sheet of paper, and then see if you can do it again on your own with no video at all, okay? You want to make sure tonight that this homework is meaningful to you and that you are able to do this without anyone's help. All right. So I see an exterior angle, which means I need to use this theorem. So I'm going to be thinking about, okay, I have an exterior angle. Where are my remote interior angles? All right, I'm going to do blank plus blank equals blank. What goes in those blanks? All right, here we go. So I see that this is my exterior angle because it's outside the triangle. And then here's my interior angle, but I don't want to use that, and there's nothing there. And then remote interior, then remote interior. Okay, so now I'm going to set up the relationship for exterior angle theorem. Blank plus blank equals blank. Okay, so remote interior plus remote interior equals exterior. So then we have one of the remote interiors is a 46, and the other one is a negative 1 plus 8x. Let me make a little bit more room. And then on this side, we've got an 18x plus 5. Okay. Draw my line, down the equals, circle, circle, and then box, box, and then circle. Okay. See, I have more than two terms on one side. That means I can combine something. All right, so these actually combine. Now, once again, if you're double checking your calculator, it's 46 plus a negative 1, which is 45, or 46 minus 1, which is also 45. You don't want to get 47, okay? So be careful. Practice with your calculator. Make sure that you are doing the calculations correctly. So 45. Okay. Now, if I'm like talking too much, then you can also mute me while you watch the video, okay? The reason I'm talking through this is I'm thinking aloud with you so that you can hear my thought process and also hear me talk the math language so you're comfortable hearing it, and then also hopefully you're comfortable talking math language. So here I'm going to box and circle, and I have a variable on both sides. So I'm going to get rid of the smaller variable. It's adding, so I'm going to subtract, and whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. Eliminate, bring down the 45. 18x minus 18x, 18x minus 8x is one way to say it, or you can say 18x plus negative 8x. That comes out to be 10x, and don't forget to bring down the plus 5. Subtract, subtract, and I get 40 equals 10x, okay? And then divide by 10. And then, since I'm running out of room, this x is by itself. 40 divided by 10 is 4. And I know that I have, sorry if that timed out for a second there. I know that I have, answer the question because it said solve for x, so we found it, which again means that if I plug in the 4 here and I plug in the 4 here, then whatever this angle measure comes out to be, 46 plus that angle measure should equal the exterior angle measure. Alright, once again, I'm going to encourage you to pause and see whatever you can do on your own. Now this one's a little bit tricky because you're like, wait, here's an exterior angle and here's one. So if I put this, I could put an E here, but I could also put an E here. So you're like, which one do I use? Let's keep it simple for now, guys. Use the one that has something on it, like there's something there. This is blank. There's nothing given to us that we can use, so we're not going to use this one, okay? So you can literally scratch it out, okay? Or if you ever get on a computer and you can't actually literally scratch it out, then redraw the picture on like your scrap paper or something. Now this 10x minus 10, don't get confused, it's actually for this angle here. So that is one of the remote interior angles, and so is this other one. So now we're going back here like, okay, I identified the exterior angle. I'm going to go ahead and put it into my relationship. So the relationship between the angles is that one remote interior angle plus the other is equal to the exterior. I always like to put the exterior first, just to make sure that that doesn't get mixed in here. So let's go ahead and put the 12x minus 4. I know I didn't do that last time, but I would suggest for you, in case you might get confused, because it's all about this angle here, put it where it's supposed to go, and then the other two doesn't matter. So 10x minus 10, and then plus 30. Draw a line through the equals, box, circle, circle, box, circle, okay? I see more than one term or two terms on the side. That means something can be combined. I'm going to add these because those are like terms. They're both constants. So I'm going to just rewrite the 10x. Don't forget about that. Then negative 10 plus 30 is a positive 20 equals 12x minus 4. So I'm going to do box, circle, box, and then circle. I have a variable on both sides, so I'm going to take care of the smaller one. So I'm going to subtract 10x first because it was positive to begin with. I have a 20 equals 12x minus 10x is 2x, and then bring down the minus 4. And then I'm going to add 4. I'm running into my other problem here. I should have written smaller. Okay, so these two add up to be 24 equals 2x. Then divide, divide, and then just so I don't use all the space for number 14, I'll go over here. X is by itself, and then 24 divided by 2 is 12. And I solved for x. Last but not least, number 14. Maybe I'll try to make room over here. I might be kind of using some space all over. But, okay. This one, again, confuses students because they're like, well, which one do I use? Do I use this exterior or this one? Well, use the one that has something given to you there, like this one, okay? So we're going to ignore this side and just use that, which means this exterior angle goes with this remote interior angle and that remote interior angle. So I'm going to go ahead and notice that I didn't write the RI equals E, but if it helps you, absolutely do it. Okay, so I'm going to put one of them here, and the other remote interior angle here, and then I'm going to scoot this over a little bit. I should have looked at that ahead of time. We live and learn. So the other one's a 40 equals, exterior angle should go here, 20x plus 5. Then line, box, circle, circle, box, circle. I have more than one term. You might think, is it always going to have more terms on this side? No, not necessarily. Okay, it just turns out that way in these problems. But I have more than 2 terms here. These, they're unlike terms, so they're just going to be rewritten. I'm going to write it smaller. But over here, I've got like terms, so negative 2 plus 40 happens to be positive 38. And then box and circle. Okay, and then I have a variable on both sides. It's always nice to get rid of those first, or get them together. So I'll do the inverse operation, which is negative 9x. Going to eliminate that side, and I'm going to kind of go over here. Yep. I still have a 38 on the left. And then I have 20x minus 9x. It's 11x, and then plus 5. A box and circle. And then subtract this 5. This is a 33 equals 11x. Divide by 11, divide by 11. Once again, I'm going to have to go over here. Okay, so x equals 33 divided by 11 is 3. Alright guys, hopefully that made sense to you, and if it didn't, you know that that's the beauty of a video. You can always pause it and re-listen and rework it. So if you just watched the entire video with me and did everything with me, I would strongly suggest that you go back, take a separate sheet of paper, copy this triangle down, write down each of these expressions in there, and then without looking at your notes, without looking at this worksheet, see if you can figure out how to do it on your own. And then try 11 on your own again. Redraw it on a new sheet of paper. Then number 12 and then number 14. Okay? So I hope you guys have a productive time of understanding and doing your homework.